What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. The P's are back in the studio, and we're ready to get going. After a week off, we've decided that we do still like each other, and so we'll get back on here and film an episode. So, PP, where are you right now? Because you're definitely not in your regular space.
What do you mean? I got a home makeover. I'm just kidding. I am in Gatlinburg, Tennessee with the family.
Aw.
Just enjoying the holiday.
That's so cute.
It is. This cabin's really cute. Nice and cabiny.
Did they give you your own room?
No, I have to share with Parker. I don't have my own room.
Aw, Parker girl.
Yeah.
How's everybody been? What's the tea? What's the update? What's going on in your life?
Well,
yeah, tell us, Peyton.
I took one of my first CPA exams yesterday.
Whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
And honestly, I did not feel too good about it, but that's okay because now I know what to study more on.
Yeah.
And then I can retake it. So I think it's fine.
Do you know what you got on it already, or was it online?
Yeah, it was online, but I won't know until I think in another 2 days.
Your Snapchat story made it sound like you already knew, you little rat. You probably did better than you think you did.
Yeah.
Internally, I think I didn't pass. That's why I immediately started studying afterwards.
I feel like you're hard on yourself.
I agree.
You probably did fine. You're like one of the smartest people I know.
Literally, you always do so much better than you think you do. And that's in like any situation.
Yeah, that's so true.
So, you'll be fine. But yeah, her story cracked me up though. To be honest, like I was like, this is terrible. I feel bad for you, but this was funny.
I was laughing too.
Anymore. Y'all don't send me the stories.
I'll start screenshotting it. I mean, like, purely the only reason I even use Snapchat is to post on my private story with videos of me talking about random things. Sometimes I'll film a video of me talking just to say something out loud and then I delete it. Like, nobody hears most of the things I actually say out loud, and that's kind of scary.
That's so fun.
It's kind of psycho behavior sometimes. Like, I will say something out loud and I'm like, this probably doesn't need to be posted. Like, it'll be something dumb, like random about toothpaste or something. And then I'm like, all right, that's it. I just needed to say it out loud.
I think it's a type of therapy.
Yeah, maybe.
I can probably help you with that.
Yeah. So what do you feel like in
conversation skills?
Oh, yeah.
Because
I'm learning how to communicate with people now that I can communicate with myself really well. I am learning to communicate my feelings with others. So that is improvements, people. I'll just start. Yeah. Yes. So now that we got all that out of the way.
Well, I do have some bad news. I recently think that I have an infection in my finger.
Oh.
And I'm not sure how to go about it. If I should just, if I should take a tweezer or cuticle tool to it, or comment down below what I to show anybody, because I don't want to freak anybody out. But just know it's not good.
Well, I say let your white blood cells fight that infection for you, and then just hope for the best.
Leukemia.
Eager. So during the last 2 weeks or just this semester, what do you guys feel like you've been prioritizing the most? Even if that's not the Lord, like, where do you feel like your priorities are lying right now?
Definitely in my schooling, and definitely in my new relationship, for sure. 100%. Probably opposite too. Like, probably my new relationship and then school.
Yeah. I definitely think studying, work, social life, and then the Lord, which sounds awful now that I'm saying it out loud.
Oh, I should put the Lord in my list too, but yeah, he'd probably be third.
And honestly, I feel like I'm prioritizing like the stuff that I do for God instead of God himself, if that makes sense.
True.
Like the religion aspect rather than like the relational aspect.
That's good.
What about you?
Yeah, so to be honest, I don't have a great answer. Like I've realized, and honestly, it's funny because I was talking to one of my girls in my Bible study today, and I was getting an update on something she had told us a couple weeks ago about something she was struggling with, and I was like, "How is that going? Are you okay? Like, how are you feeling?" And she was saying, because it had to do with a boy, like most of our problems stem from, and or at least me. But she was saying like she talked with her friend, and her friend's advice was stop thinking so much about yourself. And she was like taken aback. She was like, "What?" And she was like, "Yeah, like how can you focus on the Lord rather than focus on yourself and your problems right now?" And I was like, "Whoa." And so I think honestly, to be frank, I think my priorities have been lying like within myself and my emotions the past few weeks. I think I was so far the opposite when this semester started that I was like emotionally so drained, and so I was constantly thinking of others and constantly serving, which is not like it's not bad, but there's a good balance to both. And so I went so far that way, and then like the past couple weeks I had been getting advice from everybody that's like, India, you like have to set boundaries. You have to say like enough is enough. You have to say like you can't just treat me this way, blah blah blah, all this stuff. And so now I'm so far the other direction where I'm like thinking about how I'm feeling all the time and prioritizing how I feel and prioritizing what I want to do. And so that's on my list, unfortunately. Like where I'm at mentally right now is checking on myself. And with the semester coming to an end, I'm in a place where I'm like, okay, now that school's over, I can kind of just seclude myself and watch TV and watch movies and kind of do my own thing. So I've been prioritizing myself, which is a major reality check. And I've been prioritizing rest, which is not bad, in moderation. I have not been moderating it. So, and the Lord is in there, but I definitely think that I've been struggling with that aspect because when you're thinking of yourself, you can't actively choose to think about others in the Lord. So,
right. Yeah. So when do y'all feel like you guys prioritize God the most? And since like equally for all of us, he's not number one on our priorities right now. So, which again sucks to say, like we said, but like when do we feel like we prioritize him the most in our relationship with him?
For me, I think I prioritize him definitely when I'm in a valley. Which isn't bad because, when you're I think there's a saying that goes, when you're at rock bottom, you realize that Jesus is the rock at the bottom. And so that's most of the time when we kind of feel him more and sense his presence more, is when we literally like can't do anything ourselves, and we have to turn our trust and just our face towards him. And I think it's harder whenever I am doing good in life because I don't think I need his help at all, which is so wrong because he's the one, he's giving me all these good things and like giving me the strength and mercy and new grace every day. So I think it's hard for us to realize that we do still need him on our good days. But I think for me, it's just a pride issue. Like, I only need Jesus whenever I'm doing bad. But in reality, even on our best days, like we still aren't enough for him, or we still don't deserve him, but he's still enough for us.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm kind of with you there. I think definitely in the times when I'm at my lowest, I feel like I prioritize the Lord the most. But it's like, let me rephrase. It's like my medium low. Okay, so like when I'm having like a rough week or I'm struggling mentally, or when I had my concussion stuff, that was like a real low, like rock bottom low. And I prioritize the Lord a lot in that. But like right at this time, I feel like it's my medium low. Sometimes when I'm like down bad low right now, like a couple weeks ago, I was down bad low. And I felt like I stepped away because I again wanted to sulk, honestly. Like I wanted to sit in my frustration and sit in my sadness. And so then I didn't prioritize the Lord. I prioritized again, like, what do I want to do? Well, I'm sad. I'm going to go listen to sad music. Instead, like, hey, let's work through this sadness. Why are we sitting in our frustration and our grief and our sadness? And so, like, I think it's this medium low point where I'm like struggling, but I'm okay. And I know my joy and my peace comes from the Lord. But then, like, it's easy, when you're at the top of the mountain to praise the Lord and give him the glory. It's easy. I mean, that's the easiest part. But like when you're at the top, you're not actually a lot of times prioritizing him. And I know that I'm do that where I'm at the top and I'm giving all the glory to God. And I'm like, my life is so good. I'm so joyful. Like my peace and my joy comes from the Lord. But am I prioritizing him, or do I just know, or am I seeking him the same in all seasons? If that makes sense. But like basically my answer was like my low medium points where I'm just like struggling and I know, but my down bad points, I want to just sit and sulk sometimes, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Yeah. I think for me it's so similar to what y'all said, is that I feel like I definitely prioritize him more whenever I'm in a trial or in just a season of waiting or a season of sadness, or what did we, or even if season, like any of those. I feel like that's when I prioritize my relationship with him the most. Um because for me, like the easiest thing for me to do is to cling to him. But I also noticed that when I felt like I was in my even if season or my waiting season or whatever he wants to call it, I'm just naming it what I feel. um, when I was in that, I definitely got to a point where I got exhausted, and I still, like, even though I was in that trial or just like a suffering for me personally, I also feel like I got to a point where I was like questioning him, like, why God, why am I still in this season? Like I'm still like pouring into our relationship, and like I don't know, I guess for me in a trial when I am prioritizing my relationship with him, like I feel like sometimes I see the reward aspect of it, or like the blessing will be coming. So like when I'm in that season, I'm prioritizing it, but I don't know if it's like a heart issue. It probably is a heart issue where I'm just like also seeking out, like, where's my blessing that's going to come from this season of suffering, or even if season, so that because I'm prioritizing my relationship with you, God, I should be seeing a blessing, which is completely um not humble at all by any means. It's definitely a heart issue, but I feel like all that goes into like my, I don't know, how I prioritize my relationship with him. It's definitely tough, and like recognizing it sucks, but I definitely know that I cling to him the most in a trialing season. But I also know that I got to a point where I was questioning him a lot during a trialing season too. So
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah. So like going off of all of this, what's like the best, um, okay, so we all said that right now the Lord is not in like our number one top priority. So like what are ways that we can actively do that and make him our number one, instead of us just like, because I know that we can all sit and talk about it and say like, yeah, the Lord's not my number one right now, and then leave and do tomorrow and do the same thing we've been doing. So like,
Mhm.
how are we, for the people listening, how are we actively going to change the way we're acting and how we're prioritizing things?
Yeah. Just thinking out loud, I think one way we could do it is to put him number one priority. We could put him as the first thing that we do when we wake up instead of like reaching for the phone, seeing all the updates, or like watching the news, which I do all the time now that I'm an adult. I just watch the news and it's so negative and it's so bad. Anyways, so that's something personal that I can quit doing, like in moderation. But putting him first in your day can help putting him first in the top of your priorities, because once you give that day to him and you say, God, this is your day, my life is yours, do with it as you may, then your other priorities will line up
Mhm.
kind of how he wants it to. And so you kind of have to let go of the rest of your priorities and let him kind of order them for you, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
um and also, he could be the last thing that, like, his work could be the last thing that you read at night too, just so you can have something to like sleep on, like fall asleep while you pray to him too, because I think somebody said that at college night when I
Yeah.
popped on the panel, and I thought that was really cool. Like, he is comforting, so why wouldn't you want to fall asleep to like praying to him and like just talking to him out loud?
Mhm. Yeah, that was good. I was also gonna mention those two things, like start your day and end your day with him, because um I know that's something that I definitely need to like soak in like a sponge myself because I say those things, and for probably a full year I was religiously doing them. And now I'm like, I'll skip a night or I'll skip a morning, and I can tell now that it's clearly like it's not like, well, I don't know. It's not, I wouldn't think that it's messing with me, but now like I've faced a couple trials in school and in some of my friendships, and I'm noticing like maybe it could very well be messing with me, the fact that I'm not like taking my morning reading as seriously, and like not taking my like him being the last person that I speak to, period, at the end of the night. So that's a nice recollection that I'm having right now. But I also think um something that I have recently started doing, noticing that things are kind of like I'm not prioritizing my relationship with him as much as I would like to, is now when I get in the car, the only thing that I will play is worship music, because I'm like I don't listen to a bunch of crazy whatever music, but like I won't listen to country music. Now it's Christmas time, like I'm not listening to Christmas music, although I do want to be like, when I notice that it's just something that I need to just be able to sit and like be with him in the car or something, only turning on worship music is definitely helpful, as well as how much we talk about community, like pouring into your community and being like so brutally honest, like, hey, I'm struggling with this, how should I go about this conversation, like, I don't know, just all different kinds of things pour into the people that like pour into you, like let them pour into you for whenever you are struggling with priorities, because um it's definitely helpful, and it's definitely worth it to hear from the people that care about you most. Like, don't put like, I don't want to put on a front in front of you guys just because I want to seem like I have everything together or whatever. Like, I think it's super important for me to be honest with especially y'all too about how I'm like how my priorities are, and like how my relationship with the Lord is, and like what I can be doing differently, and how like things that you guys have walked through to be able to teach me through those different things as well. So,
Mm.
community, all that to say, community and worship music.
Yeah, that's good. Um, I was gonna say for mine, I think I read Maddie Pruitt's book a couple years ago. And she had mentioned like non-negotiables for her day. You know, I've heard non-negotiables for like a relationship, but she talked
Mhm.
about non-negotiables for her day. And of course, like she said she had son, thank you. She had 5 things each day that she was like, I have to do this before I do anything else, right? And so of course one of them was spending time with the Lord, and then the other one was like moving her body, whether that's working out or going to do something active, and then I don't remember the rest for her. Um but I think that that's one thing that I feel like I've struggled with, because especially during the school year, it's actually kind of easier to spend time with the Lord for me, because although I'm busy, I have a set schedule that I can kind of know when I'm going to spend time with the Lord. Um, when there's no classes, there is way more freedom for me to not do anything and not spend time with the Lord. And then I don't have a set plan for the day. And so then if somebody invites me somewhere, or somebody says like, hey, do you want to go study with me or whatever? I didn't spend time with the Lord yet. I'm like, well, I guess I'll have to do that later. And then something else comes up, and then I don't spend time with the Lord until later. And so I think for me, I'm going to make it a non-negotiable. Like, hey,
Mhm.
yeah, I'd love to come do that with you. Give me some time. I'm going to spend time with the Lord, and then I'll let you know. And if that doesn't work, that's fine. We can just hang out another time. Um, but I definitely want to start doing that. Like saying no to spend time with the Lord is not a bad thing. And I think I've always just said, like, if you have plans with somebody, or you have plans to do something, or you have an event to go to, if somebody asks you to hang out, you're going to say, sorry, I already have plans. And so, like, why can't we just say that when we have plans to spend time with the Lord? Like, hey, sorry, I can't change this time with him, because it's just like any other friend. Like, hey, I'm gonna have to reschedule with you. I haven't spent time with the Lord today, and I have to prioritize that. And so I want to actively do that, and actively say like no, or hey, can we just go later? I haven't spent time with the Lord today yet. And I
Mhm.
want to make that a non-negotiable. And I think that's where my problem lies, is that I think that spending time with the Lord is something that, if my day is busy, I can just remove or place whenever I feel like it.
Mhm.
And so, one verse that I love, because it's so good and smacks me right in the jaw, is Matthew 6:33, that says, but seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. And so it's like, if I'm not actively seeking the Lord first, um, like the other stuff is not going to fall in line. Like if you
Mhm.
seek the Lord first, everything else just falls in line right after it. And so I want to actively seek him first, and then everything else, like I'm going to seek God first. I'm going to spend time with him first, and then we can hang out later, or I'll come go see that movie with you later, or like, hey, I'll just go see it with you tomorrow. But yeah, that's what I want to do better.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good. That reminded me of one of my pastor's messages that really stuck out with me. And it was something along the lines of, are you using Jesus as a supplement to your life, or is he your actual life? Like, so he's not like a vitamin that you take with other food, just like as a supplement. Like, he is the bread of life that you should be eating on first, instead of like a side dish that
That's
you
good.
just add along to your food. And so India, that was really good. That just reminded me of what my pastor said. That was like, yep, I've been using Jesus as a supplement instead of the king that he is. So
Mhm. Yep. Also, one time, I also brought this up at college night about one time Pastor Daniel had this message about the importance of rest, which is funny that you brought up rest, like how you prioritize rest. And he talked about the importance of rest. Like we should be resting, like we should take our rest day. We should, um, okay. My mom forgot her phones at work, so she's going to go get them. My
oh,
dad just
Stop. That's cute.
so cute. He's gonna go back to this and he's just adorable.
Shout
Um,
out mom and dad Struther.
um, Lord, please watch over my mom as she drives back to work. Um, anyways, so he preached on this message one time about rest and the importance of prioritizing rest. And like the Lord did give us a day of rest for a reason. And like we should be obedient and using that day of rest for our mind, body, and soul to actually replenish. And so he mentioned how we need to be okay with saying no to good things so that we can say yes to the great things. Meaning, like, it's okay to say no to like certain things that our friends might invite us to. It's okay to say no to things that we don't want to miss out on, good or good things too. Like, we talked about saying no to things that are not of, or that are of this world and not of God, but like it's okay to say no to things that like are just going to be a good memory, because like I think it's important to prioritize like that rest with God daily, not just on like a Sunday or not just on one day of the week, but to like, India, you bringing that up is really good, because yeah, we definitely should be prioritizing. Like, I mean, if we can even give him 5 minutes of just rest where we sit and like, God, just let me sit here with you right now. Like, we should be able to have that mentality to be okay throughout the day. But
Yeah.
I love when my dog opens my door for me.
Aw,
Yeah.
good girl.
I think with like just priorities, one thing I would say is it's and I know this is like a reminder for myself too, but it's just a daily thing. Like a daily thing that we die to ourselves when we pick up our cross and we carry it and we prioritize the Lord. Like it's not something that you're like one day you wake up and you're like, I'm going to prioritize the Lord for the rest of my life. And then you never have to think about it again. And he's just the number one priority. Like, I mean, in anybody who's human understands how easy it is to get distracted and to honestly, like, we give the Israelites such a hard time for having false idols, but it was such a realistic example of how we are every day. I mean, my pastor has always said, like, look at your screen time. I mean, like, if how much time do you spend on your phone that you could be spending with the Lord? You could be spending serving, you could be spending not procrastinating. Your phone becomes an idol, social media becomes an idol. You become an idol for yourself, like your friends become an idol. I mean, like, if you really look at it, it's anything you put that priority you put over the Lord. And for all of us, like as we can tell, we all have things right now that we have over the Lord. And so, like, again, it's a reminder to yourself, like give yourself grace, as in it's, I mean, we see plenty of examples in the Bible, but also when it comes to grace, like don't, like Paul says, don't just take grace and know that God's going to give you grace and continue to sin anyways. Like actively choose to prioritize the Lord. It's like it's a daily thing. And so just reminding yourself that, hey, I messed up today. I messed up and didn't spend time with the Lord. Like how am I going to do differently tomorrow? Instead of just saying, man, I'm terrible for not spending time with the Lord. And then you get in a spiral where you just keep not doing it because you feel guilty or you feel bad. And so it's like each day is a new day.
Brandon kept mentioning us to like die to yourself every day, pick up your cross every day, like how you just said. And he kept also saying, like, it's not who you are, it's not who we are, it's whose you are. Like, it's not who you are, it's whose you are. So we are of God, like we are God's children. It doesn't matter who like we think that we are. Like, I'm no better than you. I'm not good enough. It's whose we are that makes us good, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it says something similar in First John. It says that like we love because we know God, and he loves us because he is God and he is love. But it's nothing that we did. It's everything that it's because of who he is, not anything that we can do. Which I think is always a good reminder. Like there's nothing in the world you can do.
There's
True.
verse that remind me of in First Corinthians that I just read. And it's so good because it talks about how we do not own ourselves. Like we don't belong to ourselves. So we don't, we're not ours to judge ourselves. We're not ours to like do any of these things from like our feelings and whatnot. Where is it?
Is it about us being the temple?
Yes, it's about the body. First Corinthians.
All you forget God and that the Spirit of God lives in you.
Yes, that one. And I was like very much convicted on that because how many times in a day do you just give into your feelings? But like you don't own yourself to give into your feelings. God owns you. Like your body is his and his temple for the Holy Spirit. So like you don't walk on your own authority, you walk in his authority kind of thing. And so I think that all ties to what y'all were saying.
Yeah. On that note, thanks for listening and watching, everybody. We're so glad you joined the podcast today. If you didn't join the podcast, then you're not hearing this, but I'm sending you good vibes. And have a blessed finals week for all of those. Praying for you. And ladies,
We love you. God is good. Make somebody smile today.
yeah.
And the peas are officially out.
Bye.